How do you get out of $21,000 worth of credit card debt in 2 years? I am Beverly Harzog. I'm a credit card expert and consumer finance analyst for U.S. News and World Report. I was once in terrible debt, $21,000. And the way I got out of it was I just really slashed my budget. Now, I didn't give up everything. I don't believe in doing that. I think you have to have some rewards for yourself to stay motivated. I started out paying minimums, and as I began to save more money, and I also got the nerve to ask my boss for a raise. I thought, I need to get more income to pay this off, and I got it. So I threw all the extra money at the debt. I started doubling the minimum payments, and then I started tripling them. And one by one, I knocked the cards off. But it was not easy. It was not an easy journey. I mean, I can remember at one point, I was in such denial, all right? I call this head in sand syndrome. I just decided that this didn't happen. This didn't exist, okay? So I didn't take responsibility for it. And during this time, it got worse and worse. I didn't go to my mailbox. Once I went home for lunch and ran into the mailman, and he said, God, I thought you'd move because, you're not picking up your mail. So I got all my mail, and I decided, okay, it's time to look at it. Went through the mail, started paying bills. I mean, it was so bad, my electricity was about to be turned off. I hadn't even paid that. So it's ironic that, I knew how to handle corporate finance because I was a CPA, but I couldn't handle my own personal finances. But thank goodness I took responsibility for it. I call this staring down your debt. In my book, The Debt Escape Plan, I have a whole section on just staring down your debt, and look at the number, be realistic. Once you do that, it loses power over you. You become in charge of the debt instead of the other way around. So take responsibility and also step away from the credit cards, okay? It's very important that you do not add to your debt. And if you're using a balance transfer card, no new purchases on that. That's a big mistake people make. All right, once you take responsibility and you look at the number and you feel like you're in charge of this now, it is time to come up with a strategy. If you still have a great credit score, and that's possible, it's possible to be in debt and still have a high credit score if you have very high limits on your credit cards. So if you do have a good score, you might consider a balance transfer credit card first. You can transfer your debt to one of those cards at 0% intro APR for anywhere from about 12 to 21 months at the moment. That's a good way to go. You will have to pay a transfer fee, so just keep that in mind. Another option is doing the avalanche, also called the laddering method, where you start with the highest APR and go down from there. Or snowball, where you start with the smallest balance and go higher until you pay it off. And, for me, the avalanche makes more sense. You save more money that way. You pay less interest, okay? But some people like the snowball method because it gives them kind of an early rush of adrenaline. They pay something off in a hurry and then they go to the next one and it's still not giant and they pay that off. I have one that I talk about called the blizzard. I wanted to stay in the snow family. So you start with the snowball, start with the smallest balance, and then you switch to the avalanche with the highest APR and go down. And the reason I came up with this one is it still gives someone that first push, that first win, that I have paid off one of my credit cards. That's a great feeling. So if you would like that and still save a lot of money, the blizzard might work for you too. Having a support system is so important. I remember back when I was in debt, I really didn't have that. And I felt so embarrassed that I had this debt that I didn't even tell anyone. And that made it so much more difficult. But I decided to tell my story because I thought it could help other people who were in credit card debt. This can happen to anyone. So, you're not alone. You can get on the internet and there were so many options. I know Clark Howard has a group on Facebook called Ditch Your Debt. That is a great place to go. You can get information online, get on some forums. A lot of personal finance websites have forums where you can share information and tips. So just be a little proactive and share. There's no need to feel, like you're the only one this has ever happened to. Believe me, it's happened to a lot of us. It's even happened to me, and I'm an expert. So just get busy. relax, go out and find some support, share with people. You might be surprised who else has been in the situation that you've been in. All right, so to pay down your debt, here's what you do. Step number one, take responsibility. Just stare it down, okay? You were in charge, not your debt, okay? You're the boss. You can make decisions. This happened, but you know what? You can't change that right now. So just accept it and then you can start to get out of it. Step number two is step away from your credit cards. Put them down, back away. Do not use your credit cards until you are completely out of debt. Not close to being out of debt, but completely out of debt. And then I want you to kind of look at why this happened, before you start using your cards again. Step number three, you want to look at your options. Okay, and we talked about avalanche, snowball, and blizzard. There is no one right way to do this. The right way to do this is what's right for you. Step number four, community. All right, this is just so important. You do not have to go through this alone. Get online, find some forums, talk to your friends. You might be surprised at how many people have been in this situation. So get some social support. I'm Beverly Harzog, credit card expert and consumer finance analyst for U.S. News and World Report, and a huge Clark Howard fan. I was so happy to be here today to share this with you. Thank you.